My name is Caleb Anderson, and you're listening to Jesus the Overcomer podcast. Hey everyone, so this week I have Kris House on, and I'm really excited to have you on. Thank you for being on.
No problem. I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you on. So I'm going to go and start with the starter question, and it is the same question I have for all my guests. It's who or what has had the most impact on your walk with Christ?
So let me preface this with I haven't been walking with Christ for very long. Relatively new. Um, my grandmother was a saint in my eyes. She showed me how to be a good person. She was giving. She gave everything. Um, would do anything for anybody. And coming up, a lot of times when I had a major decision, it would be, would Grandma approve of this? So that gave me the basis. Fairly decent kid, did what I was supposed to, going to high school, made good grades, got into college, didn't stay. Um, and honestly, recently, it's been Tim Suber. Um, I came to New Life Church, and he hit a note with me on the first service that showed me that he was a regular person, but he was a man of God.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was, I was used to any preachers that I had been around or any pastors or any Christians were always, looking down on people, not real people to me.
Right.
And he hit that note.
Yeah. That's something that really caught me when I first started coming is how he's so real and he shares his struggles. It's not that he's on this pedestal of I'm better than everybody else and y'all are all sinners. It's that he sins, he struggles. He talks about his anxiety, which was very important for me because I was also struggling with anxiety. So, yeah, I would say that that's a really good person to have impact your
Absolutely.
life because he can show you how to be a man of God, but he also shows you like it's okay to be real. Like you don't have to be perfect.
Well, the first service we we came to, um, he told a story about they were in the driveway. Isaac was riding his bicycle, and Isaac hit his truck
Hmm.
and scratched his truck. And I let him explain all the story for him, but what he did in that moment really hit me because I have some anger issues sometimes. It takes a lot to get it out, but once it does, it's hard to put it back in the bottle. And that event, him saying that was like, oh, okay, so I can be a Christian, I can follow God, and still mess up.
Hmm.
It's not what you want to do. It's a struggle every day, but it I can be real.
Right.
I don't have to change overnight and then go to church.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So going from that, so obviously already answered my first question was, um, were you raised in church or what was your church background? You said you haven't
No.
been.
My parents, I think we went to Baptist church a little off and on. I went to RAs to camp.
Mm,
You know, didn't didn't put the two and two together. I was going camping.
right.
Out hanging out with friends. So no, we were not raised in church.
Mm-hmm.
Um, very few people that was around that I know of were in church, or if they were in church, like in the sixth grade, all the girls that got caught smoking in the bathroom were the girls from church.
Mm-hmm.
I kept hearing stories about lock-ins and how much fun they were and all the stuff that they did, and I was like, I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing. So no, I did not have a good experience with church up
Yeah.
until later on in my life.
Okay. So, explain a little bit about what your life was like before you came to New Life.
So before I came to New Life, like I said, up until 18 years old, I pretty much did what I was supposed to do. What you're supposed to do. I went to school, got good grades. Went to college, didn't stay. Um, I started having losing people in my life, um, people that were really close to me. And at that time, I was, why? I did all I was supposed to do. Why is all this bad stuff happening? And at that time, I actually blamed God. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I think back now, and I'm like, well, I must have thought something because I was really mad at God, and I mean, I was mad, and I was doing things just to spite God. You know, and I
Right.
mean, I did I did a lot of bad things, um, mischievous, I guess, not so mean, but I was I wanted to get as far away from God and do anything I could that anybody looked at me and said I didn't want them to see anything nice because I was not happy. I was mad, and I took my frustrations out in so many bad ways. Um, Luckily, it never got me in too much trouble that I couldn't get back out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was it was not a good time. Not relationship wise, faith wise, you know,
Yeah.
physically. Yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to hear that you struggled with anger because I've known you ever since I've been coming here, and you seem so like a chill, laid back guy. Like you seem so like, oh, yeah, it
that
is
is
what it is.
100% since I've been coming to church, and like I said, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do my best to take a breath, think about it, and really try to refrain from letting the anger out.
Right.
You know, and it's okay to get mad.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't express it. You know,
Right.
every old way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think about Peter, who was the disciple, and he's one of the ones that are like very well known. He was, I like to think, like one of Jesus's favorites out of all of the disciples, because you just hear a lot about him. But he had a temper. Like it's very well known in the Bible that he had a temper, and I mean, he cut off somebody's ear when they were
Right.
trying to take Jesus. So, you got to think about that too. Like, I mean, Jesus had those people around him too. Like, they, so you might struggle with that the rest of your life, but that doesn't affect how God sees you.
Right.
So,
And that's one of the things. Learning more about the Bible and reading more in the Bible, you learn. Okay, you know, even the best messed up sometimes,
hmm,
but God still showed favor,
right,
or if He showed favor, He didn't just take it away.
right,
You know,
exactly,
you learn to live with it and correct yourself.
right. Going from that, so, what made your family start coming to New Life? Like, how did you find New Life?
So when my kids were born, we getting up in age, we had taken them to a church daycare, and then Keegan started going to New Life
Mm-hmm.
church. I mean New Life school. Um, he kept coming home. He was like, "Man, we got this really cool pastor. It's Pastor Tim. He's got his big beard and he talks cool and he's a really cool guy." And I'm like, "Okay, okay. Well, let me check this out. You know, check this guy out." So we went to a service, and it was at school. It wasn't church yet, so
Mm-hmm.
it was at school. And this guy, Pastor Tim, came up. Not our Pastor Tim. So, because I was like, "No, this ain't the guy you're talking about." Well, apparently there were two Pastor Tims at New Life School. So anyway, we came to church one Sunday, and that was the Sunday that he got that message. Told me about, gave the message about Isaac and scratching his truck. And like I said, from then on, I mean, it was on. We were at church just about every Sunday if we could, helping set up and break down before and after church at the little. It's not a bar, but it was a club on
Yeah,
Saturday nights,
yeah,
and from there on, it's just been New Life Church.
yeah.
That's all I've done. And I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for New Life Church, I probably wouldn't be in church.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my home. I mean, this is where I feel most comfortable, and
Yeah.
I don't know what would happen if I was ever forced to leave.
Yeah, it's very like a home feeling. Like everybody here is definitely a family. If you think about a family, you have so many people who are different, and that's exactly how New Life is. Like you have so many people who are different, but we all mix very well together. Like
Absolutely.
I've never been a part of something like that.
No, and like I said, me either. And to find that on your first attempt,
Mhm.
I can't imagine it being anything else but God.
Right.
You know.
Um. So from there, you're very involved with the church. You talked about how you, when you first started, you helped set up and take down when they were at the other location. But now you're very involved with you are on the board for the church. You um, are on the parking lot team. You're out there every Sunday holding a sign. Um, and then like any kind of events we have for like the men's ministry, you're usually at and you're usually involved. So you have this heart that's like for serving, and what got you into like wanting to serve? What got you into sticking to serving and not being burnt out in that?
So honestly, in the very beginning, it was more of a I'm gonna work my way into heaven. I can
Mm-hmm.
do it. I can do whatever. And
Yeah.
that's where it started. Now, I have since grown to learn that that is not the way. But working's what I know to do. Working's what I hate to say it makes me feel like it validates me, but keeping busy is how I keep my sanity. I think I
Yeah.
can't sit still for very long. If I do, I'm either going to go to sleep or I'm going to start hurting. So I like to have things to do, and what better way to do things than serving?
Yeah.
I mean, I just it's more for me than it is for the church,
Right.
honestly.
Right. We have a lot of people I found at this church that likes to serve, but you don't find that at every church. I've been part of other churches, and they actually struggle with getting people to volunteer and serve, and you find that a lot of people are getting burned out
Mm-hmm.
from that. And thankfully, like I feel like our church is very like you have people who want to serve.
Yeah, we don't quite have the problem that others have. Where you know 10% of the people do 90% of the work.
Mm-hmm.
We have people that will, and it's a growing process. And some folks would love to serve, they just don't know how or where, or they don't want to step on any toes or anything
Right.
like that. So um, the opportunity is here. If you want to serve at
Yeah.
New Life, we will put you to work. I
Yeah.
promise. Um, I just think it's the best way to grow the church, to help the church. Can't always do it monetarily, but I can give you what I got. That's my time and my talents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. So going from that, um, something else that when I look at you, I see you're very willing. Like you're very willing to, like you're being on the podcast today. But you're also very willing to, if you see somebody in need, you're like, let me help you. Like I just know that about you. That's in your characteristics, and it's a great characteristic to have. Um, but what's your reasoning behind that? Like what made you want to be so willing?
That's probably going to come from way back with my grandmother. I mean, honestly, just helping people. Um, Even my parents, they would always, I won't say people less fortunate, but if there was a need that they could fulfill, they would do it. They would
Mm-hmm.
help anybody. Sometimes I would get upset because I'm like, you're helping them and we don't have this, and I kind of want to do this and we can't because we're helping them. But over time, I have learned that you will get more reward from helping people
Mm-hmm.
in your heart than anything you could do for yourself.
Right.
And there it goes back to one of the best things you can do for yourself is help somebody else.
Yeah.
And one day maybe I'll need help like that, and they'll be there for me. And that ties in with Galatians 6:9. You know, don't stop doing the good work. Um, you know, because you will reap a harvest in the end. But then in the next verse, it says, keep doing all you can do, especially for people in your Christian family.
Yeah.
People that have the same faith. So I think that as a member of the church, we're supposed to help other people, whether it be in the church or less fortunate, or anybody that has a need that you can
Mm-hmm.
help fulfill. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah. I just think it's really cool. Like, and I know that like you're not in the younger generation. Like when I think of what I'm about to say is like people coming up, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're very selfish. Like they're very like selfish, and I think it's very hard to find that characteristic that they're like willing. And I wish other people had that. Like I wish like the next generation coming up that won't so selfish that they like my generation. I wish there was more of that because there's not.
Well, and it's going to take somebody showing because I see it in my own kids, and I love my kids, and I'm the one that's raising them. So if
Mhm.
anybody's to blame for anything, it's me.
Right.
But there are times they don't want to do what I do.
Hmm.
They don't want to spend all their time helping somebody else, and I try to tell them, and they see me doing it, and maybe it's taking time away from them or something like that, and there's got to be a balance. But I don't want to turn them off. I want them to be the same.
Hmm.
But they're young, and I get it. You know they think of what their needs or their wants first,
Hmm.
and I've just learned that you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what you need. That's the
Hmm.
way God works.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you what you want. He's not going to give you what you ask for. He's going to give you what you need.
Right.
And you've got to find the want for that need.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like the thorn.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's your
Exactly.
thorn. You you can't give it away. He's not going to take it away from you. You've got to learn to say, okay, this is my thorn. How is it going to help me?
Hmm. That's right. I will say like keep doing that. Like keep leading by example because thankfully I had parents that did that. For me and my brother, they always had us like volunteering. We helped feed this neighborhood every third Saturday growing up, and it was just a blessing. Like it was such a blessing.
Right.
But stuff like that, like volunteering at different events and um, sacrificing your time and just making somebody else's day by like if they're needing something, but like also showing Jesus love. It like makes the whole world different, not just for that person, but for yourself too. And but you're leading by example, and that will trickle down. Like
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of do what I do, and I don't harp on it, and I don't push them, but I can tell them I want them to do something until I'm blue in the face.
mm-hmm,
If I show them how I'm doing something, then they may come around and say, "Hey, I noticed you did this. How'd you do that?" You know, but
mm-hmm,
you're not going to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. And matter of fact, you might just push them the opposite way.
yeah,
Um, and to me, that's the best I can do is show you.
yeah,
I can't tell you. I don't put words together very well sometimes, and I don't. It doesn't come across how I want it to sound, but I can show you.
mm-hmm,
I can show you how to do it.
yeah. Going from that, um, I want us to talk about the importance of life groups. So, you're one to host homes most of the time. It's between you and another family. Y'all like alternate
Mm-hmm.
with this one life group. But I want to talk about like how important it is to have a life group or a small group because some churches call it different. But what's your thoughts and like the importance of it?
Well, not knowing a whole lot about them till we had them, um, I didn't think that was a big deal. But now, after having it, I mean, I've got folks that I could call just about any time and say, "Hey, I got this going on. Can you help me out, or can you pray for me?"
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, these people are like family now.
Yeah,
Our life group, I, I'd still like to get together every weekend.
yeah,
I'd like to get together. I'd like to hang out on. Come over to my house anytime. Um,
mm-hmm.
but having that structure, that someone to be able to talk to, someone to work out problems, someone to fellowship with, and the biggest thing is someone to be able to look at the Bible, take a lesson, and go over it and see other points of view and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't, like I said, I don't get up and talk in front of people a whole lot. Um, so, but I like to listen. I like to hear. I like to be fed, and that's what getting into the Word. Ken's our leader for a large part, and you hear him talking about the Bible. I mean, he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
He gets it, and he can explain it in our terms. Something that break it down on a level that I can understand, and I think that's what it's all about. Like I said, the fellowship, the hanging out, having a good time, laughing, bringing your families together.
Yeah,
It's not just the men or just the women. It's everybody, and
yeah,
and I think that's the most important thing about a life group.
Yeah. Um, I love our life group a lot. I hate when I'm not there because sometimes I go to the young adult one, and I love that one too. But it's just there's so many families at the other life group that I'm like, oh, I don't I hate missing them. Like,
Well, and I hate the fact that we had to split our life group.
yeah,
And I really hate the fact that we can't have just one big life group.
right,
But there's no way to physically do it, and it would be overwhelming.
yeah,
But and I don't know how to fix that. And maybe at a later time we'll start alternating life groups or something, mixing it up. But the way it's set right now, I really enjoy it. I've actually had my nephew going to some of our life groups,
mm-hmm,
and he loves it and wants to get plugged in. And it's a good way to get people into the family, and then show them what New Life Church is about. I mean,
yeah,
the whole family vibe at New Life Church is on point.
yeah.
We are the church as far as I'm concerned.
I agree, totally agree. Um, but I also want to talk like because he said something about Ken. Like when you hear him talk about the Bible, he really gets it. You did a lesson one time, and you really actually shocked me. To be honest, because you had this whole lesson, but you even said I like research like the different meanings of stuff, and I'm like, that's not normal. Like, I mean, people do it, but like it's not a normal thing. Like sometimes people don't understand like how to look for this stuff,
Right.
and you got it, and I was like, that was a really good lesson. Um,
Took that from watching Pastor Tim. I
mhm,
mean, that's where it comes from.
yeah,
When he goes back and the Greek for this or the Hebrew for this, and and that's where I got into. That's why I like reading the Bible. My wife bought me a Bible, and half the Bible is the Bible, and the other half is the explanation of what's going on and why they're doing what they're
yeah,
doing. And to me, I don't spend enough time reading it, but that is, if you're going to dedicate your life to something, following Christ, you need to know as much as you can,
right,
and be educated about it. Don't just follow blindly. Follow with your heart.
mhm,
Follow because you know that this has been done before. This is how you get through it, and it's a template. It's a
yeah,
template for you. And more people should look at it that way than, oh, it's just the Bible. Something to be hit over the head with every time I do something wrong.
mhm,
That's not what the Bible's about.
yeah,
It's, I think, one of your previous guests, basic instructions before leaving Earth.
yeah,
The Bible.
yeah, and I love that he said that too because I was like, that's really like great way to remember it and look at it.
It is. Wu Tang, baby. Wu Tang.
But also like it says in the Bible to hide the word in your heart, um, and it's important to like read it and understand it. But it's also is a guide, like you said, it's a guide for basic instructions. Um, but like you really need the Bible because it's still relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. But I was just wanted to say I just was really impressed with that, and I actually told my
Appreciate that.
parents I was like, I wish he would like do it a little more often, um, like when somebody is not there to
Right.
do it, because one it would grow you and you, but it also is just beneficial for everybody else because I was like, it was really good.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got that out of it.
yeah. Um, but I think that's really all I have. I'm really grateful to have you on. Um,
Trust me, the pleasure is mine.
well,
I love
it
it.
was an honor. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Jesus the Overcomer podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and share it to your friends. See you next time.